You're with Julian on the brown note. Getting more and more sozzled as the day goes on, as I haven't got my car. A review of Wes Anderson's new film, The French Dispatch. Now, there's been a couple of the reviews I've done, including a very recent one, were about two filmmakers I couldn't stand, Edgar Wright and Guy Ritchie, making really good films with The Gentleman and The Incredible Last Night in Soho. So I'd already banned watching anything by these people and ended up watching their best films for me. Wes Anderson embodies this kind of empty artifice, kooky for the sake of being kooky, and acclaim for being indie that has always rubbed me up the wrong way because his films have always been really bad. It says something that The Royal Tenenbaums remains my favourite film of his, in that I didn't even think it was that good. I thought Gene Hackman was good. I thought Owen Wilson and Gwyneth Paltrow were cringe. But overall, that was, a 7 out of 10. Moonrise Kingdom was the point I just said I'm never watching a film by him again. So I didn't see The Grand Budapest Hotel, which got a lot of acclaim. But I did get invited with a group of friends to go out en masse in the cinema after lockdown to see his new film, The French Dispatch, which normally I wouldn't have gone, but I had been locked down for 6 months, so it was a opportunity. It's the first time I've been in a crowd of people in the cinemas for a couple of years. And this time around, it's celebrating the idea of journalism via a lost era of journalism via the magazines that have very arty writers for them, going back over the century with these people writing the French Dispatch and their stories, the arts people that write about art, or, the social people that write about politics and social political things. And it's a film that follows the different papers of different parts of the magazine through, is it 3 main stages? 3, 4. There's basically 4 acts. So the first act is Benicio del Toro's this prisoner who paints this masterpiece, and it's seen by Adrian Brody, who's in jail but very wealthy, and basically it follows the story of Benicio del Toro making this big masterpiece and being feted throughout these, the world art scene. And then there's revisions to a manifesto, which shows Timothée Chalamet as an ideological Che Guevara kind of character who's taken under the wing of the Francis McDormand journalist character to, lead revolution. And then there's the private dining room of the police commissioner, which features the food writer from the magazine and his involvement with this legendary French chef. So it's not a long film. It sure as hell felt like one. It's about 100 minutes long. Now, the opening section, which is the concrete masterpiece, I thought was the best, probably half hour of filmmaking I've seen by Wes Anderson. I really liked it. I thought Léa Seydoux, who's the Bond girl at the moment, as the police woman, and him were fantastic. I thought Del Toro's character was a really interesting one. He was, a murderer, but possessed this incredible, weird art house, Jackson Pollock style modern art masterpiece capabilities, and then refused to ever paint again. I really liked that sequence. I thought that was really, really good. After that, everything was not good. This film is Wes Anderson making a film about his films. It's Wes Anderson looking back at these, arty journalists as though they are like him, and they're not. I really found it quite offensive that he couldn't allow anyone to be better than him. Timothée Chalamet as the revolutionary and so on. All these people need to be denuded of actually having a lot of agency, which is why I liked the Benicio del Toro character, because that was relatively pure. He was allowed to be a genius, but no one else really is. This film, we were sitting together with this other guy, and they were saying when it came up as the end. We were so happy that it wasn't another act. It is a very long 100 minutes to sit through. It just bombards you with so many actors that it is, and famous actors at that, that it is. It's just like 3 minutes there's a new famous actor, 3 minutes there's a new famous actor. One problem I have with Wes Anderson films is that he occupies such a narrow bandwidth, which is kooky and funny, and he won't allow anything to be moving or intelligent either side of that. So you get all these people that should be, moving and intelligent being collapsed into this little world that he has, which is, you're going to be kooky for 5 minutes and then it's all going to get a bit silly and funny. And that's as far as it goes. And I thought I actually really liked the Jeffrey Wright character at the end. And a couple of times he actually moved into territory that was poetic and lyrical and moving for brief moments. And then it reined it back into being goofy and indie and, kooky art house. But not really that art house. And I was disappointed the audience were laughing at a lot of really self-conscious, lame humour throughout the film. I don't know what the Grand Budapest Hotel was like. That's got probably his best reviews of films, but this hasn't, and I have to say it is the embodiment of everything I detest about Wes Anderson as a filmmaker. It was pretty excruciating, to be honest. It meant nothing. It had no cohesive film theme running through it at all. Nothing, none of the sequences, the acts, uplifted or, commented on the next. They were just these, it was like he just put 3 little plays together. None of them were worth much, but it got more and more tedious as it went on. There were just too many people in it. I don't really remember thinking that anything looked or sounded good either. I thought the black and white opening sequence with Del Toro, I thought that looked pretty cool. But overall, it was just this really annoying, aggravating Wes Anderson world of kooky, try-hard, wannabe indie cred. And I thought the fact that they were holding up, it was almost like he was celebrating his own films, but doing so through the lens of celebrating much more talented, journalism or writers, and saying, these people are just like me, which I found a little bit aggravating. So I thought I liked half an hour of it at the start and probably 20 minutes of it at the end, so I'm not going to trash it entirely, given that it was not even, 2 hours long. It was an hour and 30 minutes or an hour and 40 minutes long. So there's probably about a third of it that I actually enjoyed. So I won't trash it entirely, but I'm going to give The French Dispatch, everything I hate about Wes Anderson, a 5.5 out of 10.